Hello everyone, Mr. Nacho here, and welcome to another episode of funny bugs, exploits, interactions, whether intended or unintended, but they are still in the game. So let's kick it off with the first example. So this would be the engineer's turret. As you can see, we are right now built for crit, so that we will get crit chance, and this is any crit chance, not really only the ranged one, mind you. So we'll try to see if we can crit on this dummy, and we clearly can. We are getting yellow numbers and it's working. But what happens when we place down the turret? It can never crit. For whatever reason, it's been set up in a way that it just can't crit, and this is bugged right now and probably will be fixed in the future. But right now, it just doesn't work. The next thing is also about the engineer, and it's heavy carry with the Nightshade. Nightshade has a unique property. Wherever it just replaces your neutral evade, turns it into a unique one that you can proc at any time, even while heavy carrying. And you can actually just use the weapons while heavy carrying. Also, what is most important is that you can actually use your secondary skill while heavy carrying with it. Mind you, we are still heavy carrying the turret, and if we do the backdash into attack, we still can use the spell. This is most certainly an unintended interaction, but it still works just fine. So you can just take out your main weapon and switch it right back to the melee. It has some use cases, but it's not very much efficient. But if you want to cast your secondary skill without having to put down the turret, then this is the way. Yeah, I have no clue what's going on. We are just shooting an invisible turret right now, and this is fine. Apparently. Alright, the next thing that we have on our list is the new mod called the Night Guard that can actually trigger melee rings and melee mutators. So as long as it attacks in melee mode, it should proc the shield for us, and it should also give us 2 stacks of bulwark. Let's see if it works. Yeah, as you can see, we are gaining shield. We have 2 stacks of bulwark from our ring. And for whatever reason, it's just triggering the ring and the mutator as if we were hitting in melee by ourselves. Alright, the next interaction that we have on the list is actually a fun one. We have Sorrow here with its mod called Eulogy, which whenever you shoot an enemy, you can then recall the bolts, which deal some damage, heal you some health, and then they go back straight into the magazine, and whatever else you have, it will be returned to the reserves, which is actually very nice for sustain and does quite a bit of damage. But for whatever reason, it's classified as an explosion, so it will actually trigger the detonation trigger, and it will give us back the mod power thanks to the Stone of Malevolence and its fire damage. So let's see how it works. As you can see, the target is clearly on fire. And it's only 5 seconds because we are not really built for this, but anyway, this is something that you can utilize if you want to make a mod spam build with Sorrow. This will be a great way to get back some of the mod power thanks to the detonation trigger. Alright, the next thing that we have on our list is the interaction between any overload applicator, in this case we will just be using Krelax, and the status effect duration caused through Affliction and the Timekeeper's Jewel. So let's test it right now. Whenever we just throw the axe, it does 228 on the dot and 580 on the explosion. But whenever we apply it to the Timekeeper's Jewel and throw it once again, it's no longer 580, it's 1073 on each and every one of the explosions, unless it crits, because it can crit as well. So for whatever reason, the time of the dot increases the damage of the overload directly, up to 1073 damage. Alright, the next thing that we have is the broken Fargazer damage, which I'm sure that you have seen because a lot of people have made builds on it. But as you can see, it does some great damage that it shouldn't really, thanks to the duration increase. And thanks to the Timekeeper's Jewel and Ritualist yet again. it just bugs it somehow and just does more damage, way, way, way more damage than it should. Okie dokie. The next thing that we have on our list is a very fun interaction between the Savior, the sequenced shot, and the Archer's Crest. We will also test it on the Bolt Driver, the sequenced shot mutator, but we only have one, so we can't really show it off at the same time. The thing is that whenever you use this rifle, whenever you shoot, you'll see a ring closing down, and whenever it's in a perfect position, you should release your shot for increased damage. But with this mutator and the ring combo, it will only do it once, and then every single tap on the button will just be a perfect shot. So let's see. Yeah, so as you can see, I only had the ring closing on once. And this time I missed it. So if you miss it, it doesn't work, but if you get it, then you will have all perfect shots if you just tap the weapon. So I have no idea how this works and why it works this way, but it's extremely powerful for Savior right now. So if you want to use it, then now would be the time. And let's test it for the Bolt Driver. Yeah, so right now the Bolt Driver will do some good damage for a secondary, that is, but it will shoot extremely quickly, especially with all the other buffs combined. So let's see. Yeah, it's just good fun with the good old Bolt Driver. It gets rid of the magazine way, way, way too fast. Normally, just for a comparison, even with Supercharger, so this is the way that you would use it normally in previous iterations before the sequence shot was added. This is how fast it shoots. So there is a huge difference between this and the sequence shot. If you want to abuse it right now, then just go ahead. It does insane damage. All right, the next thing that we have is the Band of the Fanatic is still bugged. What it says is increases status effect damage by 25% and reduces status effect duration by 65%, which is true in general whenever you use it with something like the Savior and you don't have the Ritualist class. So right now this does 750 fire damage over 10 seconds. Whenever we apply the Band of the Fanatic, it should reduce the time by 6.5 seconds, which is easy math. And it does damage over 3.5 seconds, which is good. But whenever we go with the Ritualist, and let's say we also put on the Timekeeper's Jewel, then this time is 40 seconds. And whenever we also apply the Band of the Fanatic on top of that, it's 43.5 seconds. So instead of decreasing the timer, it gives additional 3.5 seconds for whatever reason on top of the existing time. So yeah, with the Ritualist and the Timekeeper's Jewel, this is a big bug. There is one more very fun interaction with it, which I will show you just in a moment. All right, so the next thing that we have is the Stasis Beam, which says that it applies slow, and after 2 seconds of application to an enemy, slow becomes stasis and freezes the target in place for 43.5 seconds. This is because of the Ritualist and the Timekeeper's Jewel, but let's see how it works in practice. Yeah, the enemy is just frozen for 40 seconds in place and they can't really do anything about it. We are just free to damage them any way we'd like. Whenever there's an elite and you want to deal with them very easily, the Stasis Beam is your best friend. It will just make them take the damage and can't retaliate at all. The next thing is more of a tip for the hardcore players. It's that whenever you don't want to lose your character and you want to cheese the game a little bit, you should try to play with another player as a duo, where one of the players just remains by the World Stone and the other player just tries to go through the stage or fight the boss. And whenever they fail, the other player can just pick them up at the World Stone. It's called anchoring and it's extremely powerful. Just be mindful that there are some bosses that whenever their cutscene plays, they will just drag you into the fight. So it's not possible with all of the fights, and especially not the final boss, which is the Annihilation, because the fight doesn't start until every single person is on the stage. But for most bosses in the game, this is just an infinite way of resurrecting yourself on hardcore. Just do it with a buddy. Alright, the next thing is just a kind of fun mechanic, it's used in speedruns a lot. It's whenever there is an elevator that already left and you want to really get on it, it's on its way down. If you jump, then you'll just straight up die, but if you go into emotes and then you go high five right on the edge, you will start falling, but at this state you are just invulnerable, so nothing will happen whenever you hit the ground. So this is the way that you can just speedrun most of the downward elevators whenever you just don't want to wait for them. As you can see, it clearly works. Alright, so the next thing that we have on the list is the interaction between the One True King and the Twisted Arbalest and the Bandit Mutator. So what it does, it will actually just keep bouncing between his head and the weapon. It will break the weapon and it will proc the bandit for us more often. So this is a perfectly viable weapon for this fight. And the second thing will be an exploit where we'll just one-shot him, so you'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, as you can see, we are doing just fine. And let's see for the second phase to show you the one-shot mechanic. Alright, he transitions to the next phase, and this is our goal. So let's see if we can pull it off. Okay. Let's get closer to him right now. And as you can see, he one-shot himself. Thanks to the Soul Binder. The way it works is that whenever you apply it to an enemy and they get damaged, they share 60% of the damage dealt to everything around them. And this slam down attack that kills all of the Dren around in the area deals about 6 million damage. So 60% of the 6 million is what the One True King will just get in return. So whatever HP he has left, he will just die. Alright, so thank you all for watching. This will be it for now. I hope that you enjoyed this episode, and as always, have a great day.